Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, fighting hunger, improving lives, and strengthening communities. That's what it's all about. And with us right now we have Joe Arthur. You are the CEO. Thank you for being here, Joe.
Sure thing, Diane.
Good to see you again, and good to see you again too, Jennifer Powell. You are the Chief Development Officer. Wow, both of you have been working with the food bank, the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, for quite some time. I think 15 years for you, right?
Right.
Okay, so give us some background on that, Joe.
Yeah, first of all, I was in business prior to coming to the food bank, and I started as a volunteer and on the board of directors, and I really fell for the mission back then. But the mission has really grown since then, and I think that's probably the biggest takeaway for me in 15 years is that hunger is such a large issue.
It truly is. And I believe you serve, 27 counties?
We do.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
And how many people does that come out
well,
to?
that's essentially the whole Susquehanna Valley in Pennsylvania. So there's a little over 3 million people live in that territory. And unfortunately, over 200,000 people right now are struggling with hunger.
Wow. And there are 2, I believe, food hubs, right, Jennifer? Is that right?
Yes, we have one of our healthy food hubs in Harrisburg and then the other in Williamsport. However, we are looking at an expansion in the western part of our territory to meet the needs over in Blair and Center and some of those very, very rural counties.
Okay. Well, it's really key with the partnerships that you have, isn't it? I mean, that's how it works. Let's talk about how the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank actually works and with the mission.
Right. So through the full territory, that's over 1,100 partnerships in distributing food on the ground. Right here in Lancaster County, it's over 100. It's 100.
Wow.
And it really is a network. It's a partnership. And then also on the supply side of food, we have partnerships that are providing food, mostly food businesses from farm to fork. So it's a real community effort, and that's how people get help right in their neighborhoods, right in their towns. We have the local connection with our partner agencies, and then our job is to get them food at the lowest possible cost, which is primarily donated food.
Okay. And I know you're looking to constantly expand, right?
Well, what we're really looking for, like long term, is to not have to expand.
Well, that's
unfortunately,
true. That's true.
Unfortunately, the trends over time and in recent years is we've actually had to build our mission to meet the needs of our communities. Our long-term hope, our long-term vision is that we would actually be able to scale down at some point.
Yeah.
But we're not there.
Right.
We're not there. We're actually right now at record high levels of demand.
Wow.
And when I say that, we're about 4 months into our fiscal year through October. We actually shared more food in the first 4 months of this fiscal year than we did in the peak pandemic year, which was 2021. So we're actually at that high level, which staggers most people. We're actually at a record high level.
What do we attribute that to?
Well, there's a couple of factors. Not everybody has recovered from the pandemic economically as well. You know, the health crisis is behind us, but the economic crisis is still with a lot of families. Other big factor is inflation, the cost of goods.
Yeah.
You know, so we have a small research team that's actually put a number on that. So.
Wow.
The average Central Pennsylvania family is paying about $500 per month more for the same goods and services than they were in like 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that's a stretch for a lot of people. And then the government programs that are important like SNAP and WIC have kind of scaled back to their pre-pandemic level. Unfortunately, the need is actually higher than that. So that's a challenge too.
Okay. Jennifer, what do you do with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank?
Thank you. My responsibilities are to raise the funds
Okay.
so that we can do all of this good work. We have a large team that works on soliciting individuals, people like you and me, as well as corporations and businesses, various organizations, and we do a lot of grant writing. So we are a busy team, but we know that the mission is so critical, and it's not cheap to do this work.
No, it isn't cheap. So when you're looking for partners and looking, to expand, what are you looking for? help?
Yeah, so that research team
Okay.
that I described, so we're actually doing what we call hunger mapping. So very
Yes.
deep work at the local level, including interviewing, surveying neighbors that are using our services, neighbors that are struggling and should be using our services. And all of that is telling us where we have gaps in service. So,
right.
and we do have gaps. That's a national story, but it's certainly a story here. So interestingly, we have gaps both in our rural areas, which is a lot of our territory,
Okay.
as well as in our more urban areas, in some of our what we call BIPOC communities, people of color. So we actually have need in all of those areas. Our hunger mapping tells us how to target our resources.
Yeah. The face of hunger is what?
It is us, right? That's my best way to say that. It is us. The pandemic really taught, I think, unfortunately, but it did teach us all a lesson. You could be 1 or 2 paychecks away from needing help, and it could happen. Right?
Yeah.
It happened to so many people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big lessons that we've been talking about from the pandemic. And unfortunately, some of those people that were kind of newer to needing services haven't really recovered. And we still have disruption today. It's still, there are still challenges on the job front. Lots of jobs,
Right.
but not necessarily able to connect with everybody and their skill sets. So that really translates to people needing help.
Yeah. So it really hits families.
It does.
And children.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. It absolutely does. So your neighbors, your family members, people you see every day, people at work, there are people struggling that you wouldn't know it,
Yeah.
that are coming to our pantries for help.
So if you are in need, how do you go about getting these services?
Yeah, there's a couple of quick ways. If you have access to the internet, our website has a Find Help feature. So centralpafoodbank.org, there's a Find Help feature, and you put your zip code in, and it'll give you a list of pantries that you can call locally, get their hours of service, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's probably the easiest way. And then we also have a helpline as well. I don't have it committed to memory,
Okay.
but we can put that into the show, call that back in. But we actually have about 10 people live during business hours that answer that helpline.
Okay.
So they help people connect to food, as well as government programs like SNAP, which
Yeah.
I know we'll talk about today, as well as others. So
Yeah.
those are live people helping neighbors.
Yeah. Well, I know this is also near and dear to both of your hearts, making a difference this way. And Jennifer, you have a background of really helping too. I mean, you've been with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank now for over 9 years. Before that, you were with the Clare House. Is that right?
Yes, I was the executive director of the Clare House for nearly 12 years. And so our residents there had to utilize the food pantries. That was part of their budget. It was part of how they were able to make ends meet. And so I have been in the nonprofit space for pretty much all of my career. And before that, I actually was the recipient of help and have the personal experience of standing in the line and waiting for food. And so for me, coming to the food bank and embarking on this journey of providing food that is fresh, produce, frozen, meats, liquid milk, things that you and I put in our grocery carts, really has been such a fulfilling purpose for me. And so it's kind of like giving back a little bit, but also knowing that at the end of the day, it's about people.
It really is. And you understand it so well because of your life experience. The website, tell us what we're going to find on the website and what that is.
Yeah, lots of important things. Our website's easy to navigate, first of all, and you can do it from your phone, from your mobile, as well as you could from, say, a laptop. So you certainly can find help, but you also can donate. You can also sign up for volunteer work if you can come to our Harrisburg or our Williamsport hubs. And then lots of other information, really important information on there. So easy to navigate, but really, all of the important ways that we want to connect with the public, including folks who need our help,
Yeah.
you can do it through the website.
Okay, well, that's centralpafoodbank.org.
.org,
Okay,
right.
we've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to take a brief pause and we'll be right back.
You're watching Lancaster Community TV, LCTV 66.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank and all the good work that's being done in our area. Joe, bold goal. What is that?
Yeah, since 2015, we've been working towards our Bold Goal 2025, which really has two parts. The first one is essentially making sure that everyone in central Pennsylvania has 3 healthy meals every day. The second one is actually make progress towards ending hunger. And both of those are very challenging, but the core of the food bank has responded well over the years to make sure folks do have a place to go for healthy food. But now we're starting to get into how can we help people actually not need us in the first place.
Oh, that's so key. And the thing that you do is work partnerships.
Yes.
And how does that work, Jennifer? Give us more about that.
Yeah, it truly is a collaboration and a partnership. We, as the regional food bank, we are a member of Feeding America, and but we rely on local food banks, food pantries, smaller ones, to get food right to people, right in their communities, right at the local level. So we provide the food, and then they provide the food to our neighbors in need. We don't necessarily serve neighbors. However, we do get folks that stop in for emergency help. But that partnership is critical. We couldn't do it without our local friends, our local organizations.
Yeah. So what we're talking about now, we're giving a lot of information, but there is so much more that we need to educate everyone with. So we've decided, let's start a series called Food for Thought. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm going to let Jennifer take that one.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're hearing a lot of information, and we want folks, we want our community, we want Lancaster County to have the information that they need to help support organizations like the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. So we are going to be doing a 6-part series on hunger, including the evolving face of hunger. It's not who we might think. We will be talking about our hunger mapping, which Joe mentioned a little bit earlier, SNAP and the government programs and how important they are to meeting the need. We couldn't do it without those programs. We'll be talking a little bit about advocacy, as well as hunger as a social determinant of health. We don't think about the important connection of food and a person's health. So yeah, we'll go deeper.
Yeah. Well, that is so key. I mean, food and health.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense, right, Joe? I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've actually invested in a team that includes that kind of nutrition experience. And also, we work with healthcare organizations throughout our region. We call it Health Innovations, but
Okay.
we have a Health Innovations manager who leads that work, which is intensive. It's not just sort of kind of small pieces. It's actually large agreements that we have to make sure that patients that are food insecure
yes.
can actually follow doctor's orders, right? So it's one thing to get the guidance to you need to eat healthier,
Yeah.
particularly if you have diabetes or another diet-sensitive condition. But what if you can't afford that?
Yeah.
So we have deep connections here locally. LGH is a great partner with us. Also insurers, to make sure that this is sustainable work too. We're very proud of it. We've been doing it for 7 or 8 years.
Wow. It's really about meeting the need, isn't it?
It is. And that means more than just, as Jennifer pointed out, just handing out a bag of food.
Right.
What is actually in that food package, and also just the ability to choose what works for you in your diet. So working with our partners, we're getting better and better at actually meeting those needs directly, because if you're provided a lot of food that you can't eat, hunger hasn't been solved for that person.
No, let's talk a little bit about the National School Breakfast and Lunch.
Yeah, there's a couple of really important programs we do need to talk about because our services are supplemental. right? But they're much smaller in comparison to, well, number one, people going to the grocery store.
Right.
That's number one. But like the SNAP program that I mentioned earlier, that's important because for every meal that we provide as a food bank in our territory, something like 9 are provided by that program. And that's people getting economic help through the SNAP program to go right to their grocery store or their farmer's market. So we want to work to fill the gaps that those programs don't, but those programs then need support. You mentioned school breakfast and National School Lunch Program. That's huge for children.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is, we're proud to live in Pennsylvania for many reasons. One additional reason, recognizing how important that breakfast is. And so Pennsylvania has made that free currently
Yes.
for everybody.
For everyone.
That is
Yeah.
huge because there's really no way for food banks to make up for those meals if they're
Right.
missing.
Yeah. That is amazing because it helps the whole family. It's
does.
this ripple effect, isn't it?
It does.
Definitely a ripple effect.
And you can't learn if you're hungry.
Yeah. Community action programs are just so key, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll take that first. So right here in Lancaster, we have the Community Action Partnership of Lancaster, one of the most respected, not only in Pennsylvania, but really around the country. And we're blessed to work with them locally, hand in hand,
Yeah.
in something we call Hunger Free Lancaster County. And that coalition of organizations works to make sure in Lancaster, city and county,
Yeah.
that nobody has to go without healthy food. But our community action partnership here in Lancaster is superb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you and I had talked at one point about if we were to make a monetary donation, wow, what that really can accomplish.
Oh, yes. So the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, again, I mentioned we are a member of Feeding America. So we are a large regional food bank. We're able to source food at a very, 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 very large capacity. We're talking like tractor trailer loads. So for every dollar that is donated to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, we're able to stretch that to like 4 meals. 4 meals. Unfortunately, it used to be a little bit more, but now, as Joe mentioned earlier, just all of the inflation and the costs and everything, but still we are able to make that dollar go so much further.
I think that's amazing when you think about it and you want to make a donation. It's like, wow, it's tangible in your mind what you're doing. And I think that's key when you want to get involved and want to be a part of this and make a difference.
Yeah, and the point I'd add is our food bank, even though we work with government programs,
Yeah.
we're primarily privately funded. So donors of money, donors of food, and that's typically about 80% of our resources. It's just people giving.
All right, so if you want to give food, tell us what you need and where we do that.
Yeah, we've another pandemic learning. We don't want to compete with our local partner
Okay.
agencies, so we actually refer all food drives locally to a partner organization who's in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And that works really well for them. It works well for the
Yeah.
for the donor, but it works well for us because we're so large in scale. Like boxes of food doesn't line up with our big trucks,
Right.
and all of our work. So that's another pandemic learning that we've gotten good at.
So we can find out when we go to the website,
You could.
centralpafoodbank.org. We can find out where we can go locally to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that Find Help feature
Okay.
kind of serves as a way to find where can I donate food. So you put your zip code in, look at that list of our partner agencies. That's who you can donate to.
That's great.
Yeah.
And all their information is right there.
Yeah. So Jennifer, what else do we need to know?
Well, I'm really excited about this, again, this 6-part series. I think it's really going to give the listeners and the viewers an opportunity to learn more and dig deep. Again, we think, or we might have a perception of what hunger looks like, and part of it is myth busting, is to give our viewers and our listeners an opportunity to really learn about what is going on in our community, in your backyard. So I think that's going to be a really great way to learn more about some of the things that we're talking about today.
I'm excited about that because I want to learn more too. And I know our viewers want to learn more as well. And we're going to have it on our channel and also on our YouTube channel and wherever else you put this too.
Far and wide.
Far and
Good.
wide. So Joe,
Yep.
we've covered a lot of things already today. What else haven't we covered, or any other thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, we did cover a lot of ground, and I'd just kind of like to go back to, just letting people know that anybody can be impacted at any point. We learned in the pandemic, but it's true now as well. You could lose your job, all of those things, and they happen to great people.
Yeah.
So Jennifer mentioned myth busting. Don't assume. If you really have a question for us about the mission, call us. Call me.
Yes.
Call Jennifer. We're actually all the time. We're available for that.
Okay.
We would love to explain that. The other thing I would like to say is it's important for people to really to reach out to their legislators and support things that help people have enough healthy food. So when the food bank puts out alerts or whatever, engage your congressman. Pick up the phone. They listen to people probably better than they listen to the food bank because they hear from us all the time. But when one of their constituents calls, it's important. So remember hunger when you're thinking about your elected officials.
Absolutely. Well, together we really can make a difference. So the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank is fighting hunger, improving lives, and strengthening communities. Thank you for all the good work that you do, and we look forward to the series.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.